Venezuela. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got cracking here.
Thank you. Let's listen in to President Donald J. Trump at Mar-a-Lago, the Winter White House, about the operation overnight.
Late last night and early.
His main supporters, just how, they are not with him anymore. But let's go ahead and get the clip going again here. Sorry for that.
Early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily...
Okay, let's stop right there for a second. The World War II claim, I get it. We dropped the atom bomb. It was a massive conflict. The last conflict of that size, conflagration, whatever you want to say. However, let's not forget that it wasn't even until after World War II was done that we got the first jet engine. So, I mean, just think about how far technology's come and stuff. So I just don't think that there's any kind of apt comparison there. And so I really don't know what he means, because obviously the war in Iraq and Afghanistan was a much broader affair involving much more resources. And yeah, again, I really think that this could very much end up like an Iraq situation, and maybe not so much that we, we're tied down there for
fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning...
Yet Vladimir Putin has had ICC warrants out for him for a while. You haven't tried to do anything there. Benjamin Netanyahu, I mean, come on now. Like, that guy, I would have much more applauded ousting him and kidnapping him than Maduro. I mean, not that I think Maduro's not a bad guy, but come on now. The Israelis are just out of hand. And I shouldn't say the Israelis. Benjamin Netanyahu and his government are out of hand, much like our American government is out of hand itself. And it's a shame. It really is, because I am not an anti-Semite. I don't have anything against the nation of Israel, but I do not agree with, the people in power there. He's a dictator, Netanyahu. But anyways, yeah.
Effective and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer, all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark, and it was deadly.
Yes, Donald, everyone is aware that the U.S. possesses EMPs. Maybe it's on a lot larger scale, but yes, I don't think you're stepping on any top secret toes there by failing to mention that electromagnetic pulse devices of different scales exist, and that is what inevitably had to have probably darkened Caracas. But yeah.
But captured along with his wife.
I don't know a lot about his wife. I know that Maduro, a lot of things have been said. I'm sure that he not the greatest guy. His wife, I don't really know, but I really think, even though regardless, without a doubt, it would be a kangaroo court, I would still like to see, like, the prosecution of what it is that they did wrong, and give them a chance to defend themselves. I mean, and again, it would be a kangaroo court, but as of right now, I mean, I haven't heard anything about a trial for them. And the way that things typically work in the United States is that someone of that nature would be brought to some court of some court of some sort. But who knows, man, with the way things are going nowadays. Hell, they might string him up tomorrow. I mean, I'm not even kidding. It's pretty interesting what is going on these days. So I don't really know how else to put it. Let's see here. Okay, let's get back to it.
Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. It's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an
Okay, narco-terrorism. I don't think anybody thinks that the narcotic problem is stemming from Venezuela in this country. Obviously, the fentanyl is a product everybody knows of China, the precursors and whatnot. And I really think that, most of the rest of the process that takes place in Mexico and not in Venezuela. And again, John Bolton, I watched the interview with him, and he said, granted, take it for what you will, especially since him and Trump are so at odds and have been for a while. But anyways, he said that, most of Venezuela's narcotic trafficking is actually to Europe, and, cocaine coming from Colombia, who Venezuela borders, comes through Venezuela and then is transported on to primarily Europe. Although I guarantee you some of it does make its way to the U.S. But this is definitely just, hogwash, some kind of, I can't even say false flag because I don't know that that's the right term to use for this, but it's a pretext, a prerequisite that they feel that they need to give so that, the U.S. can go in and, I shouldn't say the U.S., so that the current United States government can go in and, God, who knows what. I mean, obviously try to exploit the resources there. But as far as building back a more prosperous country in any way, man, I would be astounded. I would be amazed if something of the sort could happen. And if it does fail, then, you'll have your typical people who say, well, that's the Venezuelan people's fault, But if you know anything about Iraq, that simply was not the case there. There were a lot of steps that the administration at the time was advised to take differently, and at one point were, and then they walked a lot of that back. I'm not going to get into all that, but basically, yeah, it's a lot of why Iraq is so bad nowadays is has direct causality because with what the United States did, after overthrowing Saddam. So I can't expect anything different in, Venezuela. I don't think there's been really any kind of very successful man, I don't know that there's ever been a successful U.S. coup. But even like the last time that you could say that the United States foreign intervention was successful whatsoever, in my opinion, as far as for the people that live there, would be probably Korea, the Korean War, in like 50, what was that? I don't know, 51, something like that. And even that, I mean, success. I mean, yeah, say what you will, but it's that conflict's technically frozen to this day. The only reason that we deem it as successful is because, Korea's economy is, stronger than a lot of others, especially what the alternative is. And, I'm no fan of North Korea, but you can't deny that, much like with Venezuela prior to this, that the United States taking a direct opposition to them and being the preeminent world power definitely probably has a lot to do with that. I mean, so I don't know. I digress. So let's go ahead and get back to this. Otherwise, I'm never going to get done.
Extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far, with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same.
Judicious was that? Going in there in the first place. How judicious was that? And now you want to talk about judicious.
Same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious.
Boy, he can't say the word any better than I can. Judicious. And I'm not the damn president, and I don't think that I'm qualified. Although I will say that I don't have any felonies on my record. I mean, hey, I can't go get a job at, I don't know, a ton of places. But I could be president.
Because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people.
Well, if we want peace so bad, let's maybe not be the largest arms exporter. And this just isn't even under Trump. I'm just talking about in general. We talk about freedom and peace and whatnot. But we sell more weapons that are used to limit others' freedom than any other country in the world. Any other country in the world. And have been for a very, very, very long time now.
Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going.
Sometimes I can't help but think, like, whoever writes Trump's speeches, like, maybe it's just like 4 or 5 words and then picture, 4 or 5 words, picture, 4 or 5 words, picture. Because I can't, I mean, yeah, he's got a lot of time on TV. You would think he would be able to, read a teleprompter or whatnot, but I don't know, man. It's just,
Going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
okay. So, yeah, I got to end on a good note here, or, what I seem to be a good note. I really think that I know the underlying reason for why Trump wanted to go into Venezuela. And I'm wholeheartedly behind the man. It needs to be an American colony because Venezuela has the most breast implants per capita and routinely has beauty queen pageant winners that they're known for. And so we must have them as a U.S. protectorate, or, 51st state. Or wait, no, that's Canada. 52nd state. We got to have those titties. Big, fake 90s ones. Like was all the rage. I know Trump's all about them. The bigger, the faker, and the harder. I don't want them things to bounce if she's riding the world's bumpiest roller coaster. And I wholeheartedly support going into Venezuela for that reason.